Who is Gara of the Rage? I don't know. He's some spurg on YouTube who makes videos about other YouTubers trying to act as if he's some like enlightened individual as to the state of the industry. You have dozens of these guys, right? Guys who will like edit their voice over like some generic FPS game, narrating how ridiculous Nintendo fans are for being excited for a new Pokemon game or the it's one of the worst genres on YouTube in the YouTube gaming community right now because the more you see this content and this kind of like behavior, the more you realize it's tailor made for a specific kind of person. Someone who just sits in a basement and just attacks other people for liking video games while not playing anything themselves. Like this is something I've been pointing out for a long time because people like, oh no, it's Alex will spend 5 hours a night streaming, trying to become some YouTube celebrity while not playing any games, while not talking about any games, just going over some video that like Dreamcast guy or any of these like other people have made, trying to clown on them, and it really doesn't work. At its core, PC gamers do not play video games. Like this is why they're PC gamers. They're not playing video games. They're engaged in gaming culture through social media. And this is a real phenomenon that I've noticed when it comes to like fans of other mediums, like TV, anime, movies, books. This idea of having this like online culture revolving around a brand that a franchise that they don't really engage in. There are people who obsessively follow books, movies, TV shows that they don't actually watch, and instead just complain about them online incessantly or like have their own alternative take on the characters or what have you. Like it's a very real phenomenon and a major reason I would argue that you absolutely 100% cannot take online discourse regarding any kind of media seriously because of how common this phenomenon is. Um, when it comes to gaming, um, it's very evident to me that the PC Master Race don't actually play video games. They're not emulating anything. They're not buying anything on Steam. At most, they maybe spend like 10 or 20 hours playing like some flavor of the month game that year, and then they'll just move on to like the next thing. They'll just get hyped for the next product. And that becomes very evident when you look at these people's screens. When these guys like screen cap their Steam pages and show off like how much time they've put into their Steam accounts, it really puts into perspective as to what their gaming habits are, what they're playing, what exactly you're dealing with here. And recently, I had like this really freak chance like encounter of tuning into a Gara of the Rage stream on Easter Sunday. I had just gotten back home after spending time with family. I checked my socials, I checked my stuff, and like I noticed he's streaming, and I click on the page. And I just happened to see that on Easter Sunday he's talking about me. He's talking about the Harmon Smith show. He's spending his holiday streaming about other gamers on the internet. It was pathetic. I wasn't super thrilled about that at all. It was just like this is who the guy really is. This is how he spends his time. So I scroll through the video, I look at it, and I realize that oh wait, he actually screen caps his Steam stat page. So you can see just how much time he's put into his games over the past couple of weeks. And I realized immediately that he doesn't play games. He has like 20 hours in Marvel Rivals over the past few weeks. Like in comparison, I put like about that much into like random games in like a weekend. Like Xenoblade Chronicles X, I think I put like more time into in like a week. Yeah, so like 2 weeks, he played Marvel Rivals for 20 hours, and it really just goes to show you like how little he's actually playing. Because like that's an older game now. No one really talks about it. No one cares about it, and it's a mediocre, just hero shooter thing that's only popular with Coomers and just Marvel, just cocksuckers, right? Like, Marvel Rivals is a complete joke that nobody in the community really follows or cares about in any way, shape, or form. And yet, like, we're supposed to believe, like, this is what the PC Master Race is spending time with. This is what PC gamers are doing. Like when they're not on the rare occasions they do boot up a stream, is that they play basic licensed games like Marvel Rivals, like Warhammer Space Marine 2, like everything else, whatever. Like they play these basic games while like coming after you for being excited for say Mario Luigi Brothership or Nintendo Switch 2 or like what have you. Like this is the video game that they think is better than what Nintendo is doing. And it's just so obviously insane if you just know about like the general the industry and like what's actually out there and how much time you can actually put into like Nintendo games. Like he had like 90 hours in Marvel Rivals total, and like I put more time in than that into Xenoblade Chronicles 3 when I played through it last year, right? Like, and of course, like Marvel Rivals being an online shooter will go on indefinitely as opposed to like an RPG, which adds a lot. But anyway, like it just goes to show you just like how little these people actually play games. And they'll try and cope about that. They'll try to say that like, oh, I have other platforms. Well, first of all, I do too. And second of all, you constantly deride and attack those other platforms as being like inferior to PC. So to me, like the fact that you like own other platforms kind of debunks the notion that like you're emulating games on PC, that you can just pirate everything, that it's like the definitive platform. Because if PC gaming was so superior, you wouldn't need other platforms. That's the reality of the situation, right? I own other platforms myself, but I don't use them because they're just not on the level of quality as Nintendo hardware. And I talked about this before, but like it's I actually the time spent in on my Nintendo Switch is clearly demonstrable, right? On my stream days, I average about like what 5 to 6 hours. I've gone as high as like 13 before. I would be streaming more if I had more time. Like I have like an endless amount of games to play on Nintendo hardware, and it just feels like to me that no PC gamer is really doing the same thing. I don't know anybody who plays more games than me in that respect. Like I don't know anybody in the sphere who like um plays as many genres as I do or knows as much about games. Like the PC Master Race is just a complete and total joke and needs to be treated as such.